your weekly argument against Darwinism. The Misfits on AM 860. The Answer. The new KPAM.
Yes, we are the Misfits. I am James. That is Travis. Buddy, I am really craving a Euro now, and I can't figure out why.
Can they say that a Euro can save?
You know, for someone who hates Nickelback as much as you do, you
stole
sing a lot of Nickelback.
You stole that from Jason.
Actually, he paid me $5 to continue the tournament.
Hashtag Nickelbox. Man. Yeah. So welcome back to the Misfits. We're about to introduce somebody who I have known, and I was trying to figure it out before I was going on the air here. It's over 20 years, at least. I mean, it's probably pushing 25 years, but really close to 25 years. I met this guy when I was in between radio gigs. At the time, he was the manager of a Game Crazy store here in town, and I needed a gig. And out of the goodness of his heart,
and a need for an employee,
and a need for somebody he could underpay and overwork, he and not his fault. It was a corporate decision, or so he says. But anyhow, he went ahead and hired me, and we ended up becoming really good friends, and have worked on multiple projects over the years. And I'd like to please welcome to the Misfits, Mr. Neal Bauer. Neal, how are you, buddy?
I'm doing great. How are you both?
I'm doing well. James isn't.
No, I'm hanging in. It was a rough fourth.
He is. The reason that we have Neal on the show today is for a couple of reasons. One, he's been involved with a project that started as a podcast and has grown into actually something really altruistic and has helped quite a few people over the years. And it was, back then, it was a podcast where, wasn't it just, it was you and a couple of the Game Crazy managers, right? And you got together and did a video game podcast called Double Plus Good Games. And
yes.
And it's funny because you think, you sit there and you go, oh, well, it's a video game podcast. I mean, anybody can do a video game podcast. Let me explain to you what Double Plus Good Games was, especially back in the day. It would be like the difference between street ball and NBA, right? James, you and I talk video games every week. Yeah. They play
street ball.
They play at Madison Square Garden. These guys knew their stuff and continue to know their stuff. But Neal, I was talking to you when we set this up. Double Plus has had some changes and growth over the years. Tell us about that.
So thank you so much for the opportunity. And just to clarify, go way back. I did not run a rickety slave ship operation at Game Crazy. You were very competent, and that's why I brought you in as an employee. The reason you were underpaid was because that was corporate. You were right.
See? He's still holding on to the corporate line. You're a good corporate manager, buddy. That's the way to do it.
I'm gonna start using that line whenever you want something from me.
He was a fantastic boss. I cannot say enough good things about Neal. So yes, you're right. I'm messing with you. But
here's this, yeah.
But tell us.
So here at Game Crazy, I started a podcast called the Gamer's Edge Podcast. And that was around 2005, 2006, and we had a bunch of people in there. And because of how hot podcasts got in that era, it's been very, you guys know, you're in media, up and down, up and down. It was very hot, 2005, 2006. Game Crazy had a top 25 podcast out of the gate. Well, with that company shutting down, I left, and that's a story. That's a 2-drink minimum story.
Oh, yeah.
But I left. So I left the company and formed, because I knew the company was shutting down. Hollywood Video Game Crazy was shutting down. So I created a life raft called the Double Plus Good Games Podcast, which allowed people who were looking for work to jump on board, kind of talk about what they are, who they are, like what they do, and share that with companies. And one of the guys got a job at BioWare, another job at Twitch, Amazon. Like we wound up getting everybody jobs, but to the detriment of the podcast because everybody left after 2 years.
Didn't think that one through, did you, Neal?
Right. Hey,
best laid plans.
Yeah. So we've pivoted a couple times. We turned into a show that talked with industry celebrities like Trip Hawkins and Double Fine, Tim Schafer and those individuals. Then we helped developers get their games visibility by promoting them on the show, all free. No, there's been no money generated on the show. It's all about kind of nurturing the conversation. And then recently we started doing work with charities, and we've really we're starting to raise money for charities through our connectivity, the way we connect people to our show. So Double Plus has grown from just a podcast helping people get jobs to now helping make the world a better place.
Dude, that is so awesome. So you're really living up to the Double Plus.
That's it.
So
that's, again, yeah. One more thing about Double Plus. The whole idea behind Double Plus was it started off. Double Plus Good Games was from the book 1984. It's Double Plus Good. It was about minimizing the language and making it easier to control. And our idea was like, hey, if we minimize the language, we can make it easier for people to get into games.
And then Donald Trump was elected president. We started actually living 1984, and it wasn't funny anymore, right?
Yeah, exactly. Well, first off, no one knew what we were talking about back then, and it should have been a precursor to what was happening now. But yeah, so bottom line, we just dropped the Good Games, and now Double Plus means we help people on one side, whether it be developers, like they get a plus, and charities, they get a plus. So the two pluses, that's how that works.
That is so fantastic. So what I saw about a week ago, you, under Double Plus, posted something on social media, and I immediately went, that is the greatest idea ever! And I contacted you, and I went, dude, let me help you promote this, because this is going to be huge. You started something called the Double Plus Collectible Roadshow. Tell us how it came to be and what it is.
This is something that came about when, as I go through gaming, I mention games and people have less and less idea of what I'm talking about. And that's just a byproduct of age. Like when people were talking about F-Troop when I was a kid, they're like, what the hell is F-Troop? Sorry for that. I'm not sure if I can use that word. But here's the thing. As I move into a territory where people are streaming and there are sites like Reddit, like aggregate sites that are pumping content out daily, we were on a subreddit talking about game collecting and about Dreamcast game collecting. And we saw people posting games like, hey, take a look at this, my game collection. I just got my Dreamcast game collection. It's like Ready to Rumble in trick style. That is
wow, you own Crazy Taxi? I remember that game.
I've never seen that before. Yeah, so we said, you know what, let's give back to the Dreamcast community. Like, if they want to see some stuff, let's show some stuff. So we did a test episode, and in that test episode, we showed, I think, 2 games and 4 books about the Dreamcast, and that's been pretty well accepted. And so now we're starting to do, like, let's show the history of where the Dreamcast came from. So we've done shows now, and it's not just Dreamcast, it's about everything.
Right.
It started with the Dreamcast, but now it's into game collecting where we're talking about everything. So it's a chance for us to dust off that whole Indiana Jones warehouse that we have and figure out like kind of a way to share a bit of history through just dusting this stuff off so we can keep the legacy going.
So you guys, you had this idea seriously a little over a week ago, and you just posted your 3rd episode today?
That's right.
That is fantastic. And it's funny because I know, because I'd been over to your house before you were married, and I've been over to your house after you were married, and I know how much video game history you actually own, and it is impressive. You could open a video game museum if you so chose to do. So it's been great watching the history that you guys can bring up, but not only the pieces, but you give historical context to it because you lived it.
Yes, and you may remember we started up a game store, not you and I, but a game store called Temple of Pong, which is a way for us to bring, to make it more of a Church of Elvis type of thing in Portland, where you bring people in to come to the place to learn a little bit more about the history of games. So the idea is the breadth of a collection goes back to, like you were saying, Pong, but knockoffs of Pong, and then even before that, where you're talking about punch cards for Space War, like all the way up through from the Bear days up until this last week, we've got games in the collection. But here's the thing: the stuff that's in the garage, the stuff that is local that I have, is more curiosity driven. And I think that's more for like the Ripley's Believe It or Not type museums.
Yeah.
We've got, go for it.
But some of that stuff, I mean, even back in the day when you were getting it new, and I was seeing what you were being able to acquire, these incredibly rare items because of the relationships that you had with either the publishers or the game development studios. This stuff is fascinating. And you know what? Hang on. Can you stick with us through the break?
Yes.
Okay, so when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit about a few of the items that Neal owns, and then how you guys can start watching Double Plus Collectible Roadshow, and where they might lead into the future. We are talking to Neal Bauer of Double Plus. You were listening to The Misfits with James and Travis right here on AM 860 The Answer, the new K-PAM.